Statistical comparisons between matched populations by phenotype between different files can be made within the Compare tab of the Builder panel. And I will begin by giving a very quick demonstration to show just how powerful this feature is. So in this case, I want to compare the granulocyte population between all of my samples. To do this, I will make sure my filtering options are enabled by ticking the filter option in the toolbar. Within the filters panel, I will select the marker expression for my population. Then I will highlight all of the samples I wish to compare, ensure that selected files is ticked, and then click Compare Phenotypes. And straight away we have a comparison between sample 1 with each other sample in the list for this particular phenotype. And for example, we can see the difference in cell count for this granulocyte population very quickly. So I'll clear this selection now and run through at a slower pace, describing the functionality in more detail. So to begin, to make a comparison, choose either to compare a selection of files, all files within a group if you have added your files to a group, or you can choose to compare all files in all folders. In this demonstration, I'll use the selected files, and for simplicity, I'll choose to compare the first two samples in my list. So once I've made my selection, I can click Compare Phenotypes. The result will be loaded in the Compare table. Under the name column, we have the names of the files that are being compared, and these are always in pairs. If multiple files are selected, then the first file listed in the file inspector will be the reference file and will be compared to each other file. If you wish to compare different pairs of files, make a new selection and click the Compare Phenotypes button to refresh the table. The phenotype column shows the populations that are being compared. Total 1 represents the total cell count from sample 1, which is the first sample listed in the name column. Total 2 is the total cell count for sample 2, the second sample listed in the name column. Family 1 is the family cells number, so this includes all subpopulations within this population. And family 2 is the family cells number, once again including subpopulations, for the second sample. And then the diff family column is the difference between these two values. Then we have cells 1, which is the cells number, so this is the cell count for all clusters with the exact same phenotype. And likewise, cell 2 is the cell count for the exact phenotype for the second sample. And once again, we have a difference between these two values. Percentage family 1 is the family 1 value as a percentage of the total cell count, and percentage family 2 is the family 2 value as a percentage of the total cell count for sample 2. If I scroll across, we have the percentage diff family, which is the percentage of family 1 minus the percentage of family 2. Percentage cells 1 is the cells 1 value as a percentage of the total cell count, and likewise percentage cells 2 is a percentage of cells 2 as a percentage of the total cell count for sample 2. And finally we have our percentage diff cells, which is the percentage of cells 1 minus the percentage of cells 2. So you can see we can have quite a detailed statistical comparison for this population between two files. The comparison table can be filtered by ticking the filter option in the toolbar, which will filter the displayed phenotypes based on the user-defined settings in the filter panel. So if it's not being displayed, click the filter tab and the filter options will be available. To perform some filtering, firstly define the type of population you wish to display. So for example, if we only wanted to show phenotypes that express Ly6C, we could filter using this option in the filter table and then click the filter option in the toolbar. And now we can see a direct comparison between all phenotypes that contain Ly6C. Of course, you can change your filtering options and deselect the filter option and reselect to confirm the new filter settings. The table itself can also be exported as either a .csv or a .xlsx file by clicking the Export Document icon in the toolbar and then choosing the file type before applying a name. If you want to change the selected files that you are comparing, it is as simple as making a new selection. So in this case, I want to compare the first 3 samples to each other. And then once again in the compare table, click the compare phenotypes button and it will refresh the table. So now in this case, we can see sample 1 versus sample 2, and then sample 1 versus sample 3 for this particular phenotype. As mentioned, the first sample in the list will always be the reference file. So for the second phenotype, we have sample 1 versus sample 2 and sample 1 versus sample 3. If you wished to compare sample 2 with sample 3 directly, then make that selection in the file inspector and click the compare phenotypes button, and now we have sample 2 versus sample 3.